What's up guys, welcome back to another video. It's Aleksi here. One on one's in the description if you'd like to talk with me on private, and donations to run this channel help in the description as well, thank you. And the first link in the description, the word of truth of by God. And in this video I wanted to talk about specifically God, as well as like the way God lets you be broken in a sense, in many ways. Like maybe you feel sometimes like you're spiritually attacked, you can't catch a break, or you're suffering in the flesh. Like these are kind of like some things you go through on your faith journey, because God is preparing you. He's making you your true self. He's changing negativity into positivity. He's making you better. And when you go through these hardships, what happens is you actually change. You become stronger. You're able to handle more situations. You might not see it in the moment, it's gonna hurt, but later in hindsight you'll be like, damn, I went through all these things. This made me stronger. I can now handle these situations I couldn't before. You end up maybe in a similar situation, maybe not as bad, but you think to yourself, like, this is nothing to me anymore because I went through it before and I'm stronger now and I know how to handle it. And it's the same thing, like maybe you get like these, you could say, mind games, in a sense, mind attacks. And when you go through the same mind attacks over again, maybe at some point, you're like, I know this already, this is not a big deal, I can move through this. And that's what God is kind of preparing you for and in, is to handle different situations. When one thing happens one time, the next time it's just gonna phase you, and then you've moved on to the next level. You're always able to become stronger as long as you're willing to change and not get upset over these things. Obviously negativity might arise in certain situations, but that's also the be able to let go of it and understand yourself and contemplate on yourself. That's when you can actually start letting go of these things, and emotions and so on, is when you actually let go of these things, right? You process them, like understand, are you hot-headed? Maybe you're feeling very negative, upset in some way, angry, hatred, all these things come up. Then you recognize this, like, oh my God, I'm doing these things in this scenario, and I should, work on letting these things go and healing it with God. And that's when you come to really understand yourself in these different situations. And in the next time something you encounter the same thing, you can approach it on a way different level, because you understand yourself, and it doesn't upset you the same way when you come to understand yourself. And when you face a certain attack, it doesn't maybe phase you anymore, like a spiritual attack or something, or a situation, circumstance, person, or whatever that comes up, or a situation, maybe something triggers something in you, in your innermost heart, that brings something up. Maybe it's hatred and anger, like I said, or insecurity. It could be just about anything. There's a lot of deep things we have hidden in our hearts. Maybe you lack forgiveness, for somebody. Maybe some person like brings up that like side of you that hasn't really forgiven that person yet, if you talk to that person again. Or somebody else triggers that memory in you. Maybe it could be relationships, I don't know, marriage, family, friends. It could be related to an object even. It could be related to just your own emotions and the way you feel about things in situations. And you really have to consider these things, and that's why God kind of lets you be broken in a sense. He breaks you down in different ways. He doesn't give you too much to handle, but just the right amount to move, of course, to the next stage. And this is where it's important to take that opportunity and understand, like, yeah, God did this. I'm feeling very broken, but it's for a reason. He's breaking you down so he can build you up. Sometimes he just needs to build that foundation again, in a sense, a new foundation. He needs to break the old foundation so he can build a new one, in a sense, under it, once it's broken. And that way you become your new high self, and not that old self that's negative or whatever problems it has. And we all have negativities, obviously, in our base state before we come before God and come to understand the truth. We all have negativity and dispositions and issues of our circumstance, and how we grew up, and how you have issues varies from me. We are not the same. We are all unique, and we have unique lives. So you have to kind of figure out what your problems are, and what mine and yours are different. And that's for you to figure out with God on your journey, not, in a sense, with me. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say in this video, is God lets you be broken, but remember that it's for a purpose, and he doesn't do it to hurt you. He does it to actually level you up and to heal you and to come to understand yourself better. But if there's a will, there's a way. Thank you for watching. Amen. I hope this helps.